Hi, hello, happy 2023, happy new year. I haven't uploaded a proper video to this channel since last July. Wait, when did I last upload a video to this channel? YouTube.com/zentouro. Ooh, since April. And since then, I've just zipped past that 20,000 subscriber mark. So, hi everyone. I had intended to make a Q&A then, but now it's now, so I will A some Qs. Starting with, how do you stay motivated through the degree, specifically in mandatory subjects that literally do nothing for it and act just like a screening device to take people out? First off, I don't know if I've said this on here yet, but I'm working toward a PhD. I started in 2020, yikes. And I've passed my quals now, and I'm working on a dissertation proposal and trying to publish some papers. That's my main excuse for not uploading very much, but if I'm being honest with myself, I've never been particularly good at that anyway. But back to the question, what me doing this PhD means is that now that I've passed my quals, I'm just done with classes, like forever. I'm never taking a test again. I have taken a lot of classes though at this point, and I think that those screening classes are complete BS. And if your professor and degree is gonna treat you like you don't matter, then I don't think you should devote any extra time or motivation to that class than you absolutely have to. Do the bare minimum, get the grade you need to progress, and move on. I structured my academic journey to avoid as many of those classes as possible, and the ones I did have to take, I took as like summer courses, so they were shorter and often easier. And while you're putting the minimum into the screening classes, take the rest of your time and energy and apply that to classes you're actually interested in, or hobbies that bring you joy. Thoughts on the newly established Loss and Damage Fund at COP27. Some activist groups argue it's a good first step, while some of my professors say that the finer details haven't been worked out and have been pushed into the next few years, leading to further inaction and delays. Basically just that. I think it's a good first step. Getting these ideas actually codified on the international scale is huge, but without any structure and real commitments, we're not gonna see much money going where it needs to for a while. That's kind of international policy in a nutshell. What's the best breakfast food? Hands down, it's blueberries, specifically low bush blueberries, so the tiny little ones that are packed with flavor and joy and are like nature's candy, not the definitively less good high bush blueberries. How much should someone get into the science, and which one, to grasp the basics about climate change and be able to call BS on greenwashing? Any book recommendations? Similarly, we've got, what are your best recommendations for books on climate change? I'm still new to the topic and I'd love to learn more. To grasp the basics, you don't need much. If you took an introductory science class in high school or college, you probably already know more than enough. The basics behind the greenhouse effect are simple enough that NASA has tons of programming aimed at elementary schoolers. Frankly, a grasp of policy, psychology, and economics might be more useful for understanding the actual crises in the climate crisis. And I don't think you really need to know that much science at all to spot greenwashing. Since it's often just PR, if you spend 30 seconds searching the internet after you hear a corporation make a claim, you can probably find some intrepid reporter who has called them out. And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. All right, on to book recommendations. Let's see, I got a bunch of books behind me. Okay, this stack is obviously giant, so I'm just gonna rush through them. They're in no particular order. They're in fact the order I pulled them off my bookshelf when I saw them with my eyeballs. We've got Naomi Klein's This Changes Everything, Capitalism versus the Climate. A Civil Action. I read this in high school. It's one of those books that kind of sticks with you, and if you want to kind of get into a legal thriller about environmental impacts, this is the one for you. Classic Sam Calny Almanac. It's old. I'm sure Leopold could probably be canceled for something, but the way that he thinks about nature is really beautiful to read. If you've been on the internet and doing climate things, you've probably seen All We Can Save. It's a book of essays. Many of them are very good. Full disclosure, my advisor, Kate Marvel, has an essay in here, and I think that one in particular is very good. Cradle to Cradle, this is all about how do we measure and change how we make things and use things and keep them from polluting. Orogeny, this is a book of poems. Gorgeous, beautiful, makes me think about the earth deeply. There's a rock pun in there, I'm sure. Anyway, I will start my day with one of these often. Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown, kind of a modern day classic. Very good about how we think about actions and society and community. Don't Trust, Don't Fear, Don't Beg, about a bunch of Greenpeace activists who get stuck in a prison. YouTuber book, Simon Clark has a book about the atmosphere called Firmament. I have not quite finished it yet, but so far it's been great and you should read it too. A Field Guide to Climate Anxiety. Sarah Jaquette Ray is an incredibly good writer, has a lot of very interesting thoughts. It's super short, you could read it in a day, and it is very helpful for dealing with emotions around climate change. Bottom of the Pile, Disasterology by Dr. Samantha Montano. She's been on this YouTube channel, she's great. The book is also great. It's both a incredible literature review on how we know what we know about disasters, as well as a personal story of Sam's experience learning about and becoming a disasterologist. Is that enough books? Hope so. Moving on. Did you see Avatar? The only Avatar we acknowledge in this household is Korra. What would happen if the AMOC really collapsed? Have you watched The Day After Tomorrow? because it's kind of like that. I mean, it's probably not like a huge, rapidly moving wave of ice, but like it'd get really cold up here. And I asked my friend who researches paleo stuff and she agreed. Quick definition, AMOC stands for Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. It's a bunch of ocean currents that are moving water around in the Atlantic. That's all you need to know for this. And total AMOC collapse isn't something that's gonna happen tomorrow, if ever. In the biz, it's referred to as a high impact, low likelihood scenario. But if you're genuinely interested in the research into AMOC, Carbon Brief and the New York Times both have some good explainers, and I'll also link some peer-reviewed literature downstairs. What's the thing you're looking forward to most in 2023, and it doesn't have to be climate related? I'm maybe gonna out myself as a little bit of a jock, but I'm running the New York City Marathon this year, and I am really freaking excited about it. I have a lot of hopes and dreams about how fast I'm going to go, which I'm going to keep to myself, but I can't wait. Have you had a climate intervention of any kind with your friends or family? How did that go? Do you still have non-climate friends and family? How does that feel? I'm pretty fortunate that the vast majority of my friends and family are pretty on board with enacting climate action in their lives. So no, I've never staged a climate intervention personally. I'm definitely around people who are not in as deep as me, but my experience is generally the opposite. So people are coming to me for information on how to talk to their friends and family or how they can be more involved and conscious in the climate movement. I also, and I'm treading way outside of my actual knowledge base here, but I don't think climate is worth having an intervention over on its own. I mean, maybe if your parents work for Exxon, that's a bigger conversation. But at least in the US, climate is so wrapped up into politics that I think the dinner table conversations need to be tackled differently and really personally. If it's your family, you probably know at least somewhat why they think what they think, and you can better get at the root of any misunderstanding or actual malice behind their beliefs better than some rando on the internet can. That being said, Professor Katherine Hayhoe has a lot of good writing out there explaining how to use what you have in common with someone, whether that is faith or location or some other deeply held belief, to have an actual conversation about climate. And obviously, I don't know your situation or anyone's, but it's okay to walk away. Family can be really important, but it isn't the only community structure. What Pokemon do you most identify with? Probably Growlithe. I don't think I'm quite punk enough to actually be a Growlithe, but I so desperately want to be. I also got a lot of questions about this. What do you think of climate action that lands its supporters in police or jail cells? Is that just the cost of saving the world? And similarly, is eco-sabotage a fossil fuel infrastructure the only viable path to success? Or read any Zizek or philosophy, he has at least implied that the environmental movement should adopt eco-sabotage. Historically speaking, I'm pretty pro climate action that breaks laws. There are at least 3 videos on this channel showing my friends and other activists getting arrested. Getting arrested and breaking unjust laws or laying in front of construction equipment are all important tools that people have been using for a very long time for all kinds of activism. It is very effective at getting local crises on a national and international stage, as well as calling attention to, the global climate crises. But it definitely isn't the only way to push for climate action. I've said this a lot, but the 2014 People's Climate March had a slogan, "To change everything, we need everyone." And that means everyone doing the kind of action they are best at. So if that's throwing soup at a painting, or being an activist inventor, or electrifying your own home, or getting your school to compost, or running for office, there definitely isn't just one way. How does biodiversity loss fit in with climate change concerns? They're definitely interrelated. Some of the same things that are causing climate change are making biodiversity loss worse, and vice versa. And some of the same solutions could be used effectively to combat both. So reducing the need for roads, cutting through ecosystems would stop habitat fragmentation, and with less space for cars, we'd be burning less fuel, things like that. And in both cases, climate change and biodiversity loss, we're losing a lot. There's an inherent value in biodiversity no matter what way you choose to measure it, just like there's a value in having a stable, consistent climate. All that being said, on this channel and in my own research, I'm more focused on the human impact. And biodiversity loss obviously has a human impact, but it's a bit outside of my area of expertise, so I'm gonna leave some links for you downstairs too. Have you ever lived in another country, or would you want to? I lived in China for nearly a year in the early 2010s. I did a lot of biking, made some good friends, played frisbee, ate a lot of good food, but I don't really like flying, so living in another country would be really hard with my family and most of my friends here in the US. Plus, where I live now, basically everyone comes to visit me, so I can lazily hang out in my apartment and see all of my friends. What is your favorite and least favorite video you've made? I'm gonna limit this to just my channel because I've made lots of videos for other people that I both love and also hate, but I'm not gonna talk about those because I wanna have good working relationships. I've been making stuff on here since 2007, so I've definitely grown in my opinions and knowledge, so the early videos I made about things like the Tesla Powerwall and plastic water bottles are definitely some of my least favorite. I also have loads of cringy stuff that I have long since deleted from when I was in high school and early college. Favorite video is a little bit harder. I'm easily swayed by numbers, so the recent IPCC videos feel pretty good, but I like the videos most that I've done with friends and family. So the compost video I made ages ago with Taylor from It's Radish Time, or when I talked to the national parks, despite all of their flaws, with my dad. What piece of data gives you hope for the future? What data should we be worried about that isn't getting attention? I don't know if there's any data specifically that gives me hope. Lots of people have made stuff with that kind of framing. Hank Green and David Roberts both have stuff like that you can check out. I guess if anything, maybe the number of coal plants the US has shut down, or the number of cities banning gas in new construction. Those are the data points that get me kind of jazzed up. Maybe also the millennials are getting less conservative as they age. That's pretty neat. Is it still possible to stay below 2 degrees of warming? Physically and technically, yes, it totally is. Will we? I wish I knew. Our current trajectory has us overshooting 2 degrees, but less than we would have a decade ago. I don't have a time machine, no one does that I know of, so no one can really say we will or won't, but it's definitely still possible to stay below 2 degrees of warming. What is the best energy to replace fossil fuel in planes other than biofuel? I don't really know a lot about aviation, so I'm gonna just be a train stan and say improving electric rail should and could replace the majority of short and long haul flights. Okay, cool. I think that's all of the questions. So hey, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you have a great day. If you want to watch more of my stuff, there's some links. If you want to get in on the next round of these, I posted it in my Patreon and Discord and community tab, so you can find links to all those things downstairs. Yeah, bye.